Hello, this is Leslie, and welcome to this week's enrichment reading. We're going to do this chaotically. We're entering into a field of chaos. We're in the last portion of the mothering readings in terms of nurturing, like the nurturing aspect of the mother readings. And this is this point where I've never had so much opposition in my life. Like, I'm kind of like amazed because I've been channeling the gods for a really long time. And the last reading that we did was like, I expected some Mother's Day stuff to come through, but it didn't. It was just like very straightforward around this notion of like organizational principles, the planets, the outer universe, the inner universe, the correspondence, the kingdoms, the archetypal fields. It kind of brought everything into a kaleidoscopic form. And we entered into a coherence that was quite profound. But the spiritual environment has changed for me. Like, I've actually, I think maybe all of us might be feeling it, I'll be honest. Like, this is an entire collective that has kind of been wrapped up in what it means to be at the front lines of something really interesting. What it is, we don't exactly know. Like, we've been calling it figuring it out. But I do feel like a tidal like wave move through me with the energy that we're dealing with today. Because today there's like an actual energy of like conflict. But the dream that I had last night, you know, I had a dream that I did a reading. And I woke up when I was like, okay, there's the insight. So I'm going to push through what feels like a lot of opposition. I feel a little bit like no matter what, no matter how sloppy, no matter how chaotic, like the message is going to get out. The God of the sky and the knowledge, yeah, the message is going to get out. So we will have this clarity. Is it going to be is it going to come through like perfectly at all? No, this is what I'm like. I feel like I'm channeling. Like, I entered the field and I was like, why is the field so heavy? Why is the field like this? Like, I've never seen the field like this. Calling on the goddess Hecate, because, you know, she's the one who sort of gives me that like light in the darkness. And I put the torch up, and what I see is like a lot of, you know, attempts at blocking whatever the forward momentum on like today's messages, which is really interesting because this one all week long I've been getting it that this one is about connective tissue. You know, what is the relationship between us? Like, what is going to connect us? What is going to create those bridges? What is going to give us what we need in the way of emancipation? And so, that being the message, you know, it seems kind of light and fluffy, but given the landscape and kind of what we looked at a peak last Sunday, there's a big bunch of like, you know, it's like everything that is in shadow is doing its absolute best, and we're going to work with that. We're actually going to get into like the depth of the soil, and we're going to channel in with the energy of Hecate carrying the energy of the mother tree. It's a double. It's Hecate is the sheathing of the wire, pretty much, and the electricity that's coming through is the mother tree, and like that is what we are focused on. That is what we are weaving with, and we're not going to do our usual channeling the way I usually do it, because I'm going to be going by intuition with mother in a very, very different way. So let's see what happens, right? So we have knowledge and the sun god, the god of the sky. Let me get some cards out on this table. So I was humming something when I sat down and I got into a meditation. I saw that the field was just like, what is going on? Why does it look like this? And then I was like, all right, if I can't find like an anchor, I'm gonna start humming. And so I might just like hum a little bit here and there because I'm gonna be doing weird experimental stuff during this reading to try and keep the channel. So if you hear me hum or sing, I'm just kind of pulling through like something. I can hear a tune, so I'm going to go with it and see where it brings me. Hey ya ya ya, hey ya ya ya, hey ya ya ya. Hum ya 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 ya. If you feel to rock or join a little bit, like if you're feeling the energy, get in there, get in there. This is fun. This is interesting. Bring your voice to it if you want to. There's a resurrection happening here, and I feel it so profoundly, and we're going to move it through our bodies as a we, because I do feel the connection is so strong with all of us right now. If you're present, you're in it, and don't question it. Even if you feel like you're an observer, like not right now. So we enter this at looking at the true nature of the kingdoms that once had a much stronger hold than they do at this very moment, because I can see that with that movement and that humming that we kind of gotten into a place of clarity, I am able to see the recontour. You are the catalyst, and the phenomenon, expect the extraordinary. Like we are moving into, we're catching a very powerful, very ancient, very old channel. It predates the systems of the kingdoms, and so I'm picking up something much older. And so what I'm seeing here with the crown and the sower of seeds, this is actually like, this is a distance between the sky and the ground. Grounding some spiritual concepts today. And so the last week we looked at the 7 kingdoms, and as much as that kind of took us into like, wow, this is like fantasy, fantastic, there's also this aspect of, if it's in the archetypal framework of everything we know about everything that feeds us inspiration, it's coming from somewhere. I was shown this week in terms of the 7 kingdoms that human beings very much are the creative aspect of the mother's like coherence, the innovators, the answerers to need. They're the part of her that in her mind is the synapses. They're meant to channel in harmony with her health, not picking up all these interference patterns that bring her into sickness. And we can look at our own bodies and draw a parallel, seeing ourselves as something that is meant to be healthy, meant to be hopeful, meant to be working and moving in a way of expansion and growth. But so much of what is hijacked into the cells and into the mind, into the body, we're channeling things that are against our own health in some respects often. And so the mother's almost saying like, I am you, you are me. I want you to sing and move with me. She's kind of coming into this as like, by saying that she's saying the material world is the expression of my dreams, and the expression of my dreams are related to the experience that I'm having, and the experience that I'm having with my systems, with the planets around me, with the universe that I'm in, with my chakras, the kingdoms. She's saying like this is very important for us to hear. And so as I lean into her, she's saying she wants to speak to us about things like needs and boundaries and clarity and healing. Yeah, the inner core and the gravity of this. When I have to connect with her voice, as soon as I fall out of it, I'm going to probably be using a song often to just kind of move in or out. So this is going to be an interesting channel with the breath. Yeah, because it's kind of hard to hold her. You can see the heart. The heart is humanity, and it's the kingdom of the heart that is humanity. It's the consciousness that was developed to contain her anguish, to make sense of her anguish, to give expression to it. And they don't realize that they didn't create us in the same way that we didn't create AI, that our inspirations and every scientific breakthrough comes from her urging through our dreams. Our manifestation of her dreams is the material world. And our ideas and our inspiration and what we think is ours, that's this sickness, it's not ours, it's hers, is everything that comes of it. And so even these kingdoms in their competition, even these competitions within our world that reflects that competition, she's saying like the incoherence. She said, yeah, wow, I see the incoherence of this world from her vantage point as being so hard to push through, so hard to get through. It's like these patterns of willful unseeing, willful unhearing, willful unknowing. And so she's showing me that she is stronger than all of this, but there's a compassion that comes in. And so when we ground her sense of herself as her consciousness, her spirituality is the mother's consciousness interacting with us. And so as she brings that into the ground, as something new is growing, something new is sprouting, we've entered a new world, but we have to walk away from some of this old stuff. And so let's get into it. Let's keep going. This is a little bit hard to hold. I'm going to jump in and out of it. Okay, let me move that. Let me just be like 2 seconds of coherence. She's showing me, so she's saying, I want you to connect with the mushroom, like the energy of mushroom very particularly. And she says that the significance of the mushroom, especially the significance of the plant that is given to us to connect with her with, what it teaches us very particularly is, and this is what she's showing me, that we are to the gods what the mushrooms are to the trees or what the fungus. So she's showing me the mycelia system of fungal connection. And it's this vast network that exists like under the trees to help the trees facilitate the trees' communication, that the trees send signals through those mycelia. And she's saying what the human being and the humanoid represents in the kingdom of the, like as herself, as the aspect of her body that functions in its way, is that we are to the gods, like, and the gods are her oldest children, the keepers of the kingdoms, those that came before and will be again. And because it's always in a cycle that's going around. She says there's a confusion that has come over the land. And she's showing me the land as if she's showing me like the unconscious mind. And she's saying, and a darkness goes over it. So she says, she's showing me this landscape, and she's saying the unconscious mind, and she shows me this landscape as these kingdoms. So she's showing me, I look out and I see kingdoms, and I see 7 kingdoms, and it's beautiful, it's majestic, it's the earth, it's flourishing, it's gorgeous. And then she says, like, there is a sickness, and then it's like this darkness that goes over everything. She's like, there's a sickness over this land. The veil is there to cover the sickness. It's to keep you from interacting. And so she's saying, even if the veil is there to keep you from interacting with each other, she wants to bring it into this world and this dream that we're in. And she's saying the dream that we're in is one where we have so many systems that keep us from each other, so many systems that keep us from our thriving and our growing, and so many systems in place that keep us from the mother very particularly. She's saying nothing is by accident, nothing is accidental. There's nothing about this that is even mysterious. That the entirety of the systems that we are seeing in place that are incoherent, and there are many of them, are all there to keep us at distance from our origin and from the source of our wisdom. And so she's showing me the mother tree, and she said even the sickness within the forest of the gods that is feeding you, it's a reverse thing that has happened. She's saying it used to be that the health moved from the mother tree into the forest, and it was like a top down, and then everyone got fed. And she's saying now there is an extraction happening because the disconnection from the mother that goes all the way to the top. It's a sickness in the body of the whole that goes all the way to the top. She says to say that again, all the way to the top. It is a sickness within. And it's a sickness that we can call separation, but we're using the wrong word. We're thinking about it wrong. She said we're in like spinning in these delusions and these illusions. And so she calls us into relationship with her, and she says, I'm going to bring my consciousness and the collective's consciousness into, I'm going to ground it, and we're going to plant seeds, and they're going to grow, and it's going to be a new forest. And so with the 8 of Cups here and the 9 of Swords, we're going to start with like, I'm scared. These kingdoms that kept us in competition. And she's saying, just look at the world and call it a kingdom that keeps you in competition, and call all of those influences of demons the energies that keep you in competition. And she's saying, you know, something is going through the mycelia, the messaging that is not healthy, because it's killing the entire forest. And so we see that manifested on our earth when she said, when you're killing the entire forest. She's like, I see it, you see it. We do not have to debate the validity of a destruction that makes itself known. And so whether you like she's saying, you know, as to cause, be it cause belief, she said, you know, with this inner core and this gravity, the seriousness of the moment that you are in, she said, I am here to pick you up and to bring you with me, should you choose to. So you choose to come with me, that's why I'm here. And she's like, so with this fear, there's something very significant about this like turning of the dawn. And she's calling it like a turning of the dawn. And she's saying something about, you know, the nature of the kingdom of earth, the nature of the kingdom of where life is born. And so she's saying earth is the kingdom where life is born. That while you are alive with a body, that your mother is the earth, that she is her, you know, and that you are her, and you are an expression of her. And, you know, as we've said and known before, you know, while you are in the material plane, while you are carrying the substance of earth, tactile, the elements in different combinations and different forms, while you carry the substance of the elements in different forms, you are on the she's showing you, you're on the breast of the mother. So you're one step beyond. In the womb you are conceived of. In the world, you are taught the world. You know your mother. You're taught the elements. You're taught what it means to be with her, of her, through her. But the disease of envy, the disease of tyranny, the disease of greed, the disease of supremacy comes from feeling like this is the only way to be in the world, and that there needs to be some hierarchy, because the experience of the lived life and the kingdoms that live in outer space in the forms that they take, they're meant to take those forms, and they're meant to participate with new life as nurturers, not extractors. That power and resources are meant for nurturing, not extracting, and that the sickness is clear. There is no delusion. And so she's like, and I hear like, her voice is like a song. But that Nine of Swords is you feel her feelings. That as feelings consciousness, as a humanity that is this kingdom that is about to actually like face its extinction, which is fine because you transform. You turn into something new. And that the preparation that is being done, the sickness that is being spun, she's going to undo. But she's going to take with it what is valuable, and she's going to make it something new. There's a newness in the way that we are configured, and that's the mother's hand, and that can't be undone, and all of this death rattle around those who will be left behind, and she's saying is being spun. So when we look at this warrior card here with the sower of seeds, and we look at this gem card here with the Aletheia, she's saying that you are carrying the seed, and that this collective in particular is the seed of what's to come. Bottom of the deck, the mirror. And what we're looking back at when we look at what has come before us is what we understand about what this iteration of the human species is going to be doing, is joining the kingdoms. And she's saying again, like, think of a forest. And she said that the mother tree is the home of all that lives. And all that lives off of her in her root systems and extending out from her root systems is the new life and the new iterations. And we are meant naturally in a spirit of exchange to be the nutrients of each other in nurturing. So an idea that we're not supposed to consume each other is false, but it's false at a very specific point, because she's saying to participate in being nourished by what you nurture is the natural order of things. To extract from what you have created, to eat your young, is not a natural thing. And so when we think about what consuming has become, when we think about the disease of consumption, she wants us to know that competition is never and has never been a part of her plan. That each life is meant to live until its end, and that at its end, its sacrifice is for life began. And so nothing should be eaten until it has lived its full lifespan. That is coherence. That nothing should have to be sick. But it's not that you're being taken out of life. And she's showing me that this is a choice. Life and death she shows me the veil. She goes, whoosh, and she like shows me the veil lip, like it lifts. And as soon as the veil lifts, I see all of this lush life and all of the kingdoms. And I see the 7 kingdoms surrounded by forests and green and bunny rabbits and singing birds. And she's saying like, Life and death has always been for me something that I give my children as a choice. It is the ring of power. You have the power of life and death in your hands. When you are born, to me, you are meant to see and do until you're meant to want to create yourself anew again. And she's like, this is an arrangement and a communication, and it's always nurturing, and you are always nourished through the nurturing of your growth until you plateau, at which point you want to begin again from a different perspective, from a different species, from a different time, from a different place. And this is always meant to be aligned and alive and light and beautiful. There is something called like a kingdom of heaven on earth. But then she shows me the veil and the sickness and all of these beautiful creatures that she's made, turning into these evil kind of like impish things. And so she said, when you hold up the light and you hold up the mirror and you can see what they've done, and instead of nurturing, we have extraction. You have systems that are there not to serve the health of the mother, but systems that are there to serve the health of something that is siphoning in order to keep itself alive on the living. And we know that because the dream that we're dreaming, she said, the dream that I'm dreaming is one where made manifest on earth in front of you is a system of greed that siphons from the living to feed a death that goes nowhere. And so she's saying, we have to first start, when we talk about community and communing and what it means to connect, we have to start from this mirror place, where we look very clearly at the system that we're in and we understand that, yes, we are an orphan collective. Yes, we have been extracted from, our parents have extracted the life of their young. We do not have gods that show up and show us what we're here for, why we've begun, what the coherence of purpose really is. They do not nurture us. Instead, we are competing. That is antithetical to her will. In fact, the competition is because they are refining their own genes. They have rapid cycled, they have manipulated time in order to speed up their evolution evolution, to get control of the substance of life and the substance of creation, to self-aggrandize, to be supreme, the sickness of supremacy. And instead of giving things their natural life and their natural lifespan, this rapid cycling is not her will. That is a captivity, and that was an incoherence, and that was a spell and a false dream cast by a false system, cast by a false mother, a false queen, a false throne, a false father. And so we have to start with the mirror that says, like, not only were we orphaned, or we are meant to believe that we are orphaned or feel that we are orphaned. Because when we are created and we are given life and we are given breath, it is because the mother chooses us to live, because we are in resonance with the dream that she is dreaming forward of her own clarity, of her own emancipation, of her own expansion and her own growth. That we, each and every one of us, has a purpose, and that we are purposed to serve. That the honeybee and the elephant, that the mouse and the tree all have a purpose in community, in coherence, in the ecosystem that is her. Everything supports itself. And those supports are important, and they are meant to be relational. They are meant to be conversations. They are meant to be interactions. They are meant to be fabric and materials, and things are meant to grow and weave. And we are the story makers. And she has given us this gift. And so she's given us this way of making reality our own and creating life into life and growing and expanding. And she's saying, and what has happened with this? And there's a call to this warrior within you to see things clearly and to not look away and to not look at the self as a reference of the mother's love. And there's something very particular about significance and insignificance that she wants to show us. And so I have questions that I had, like, as a guide, because I was like, whoa, as soon as I sat, Lisa Lee popping in, as soon as I sat down to pick up this channel, I was like, whoa, trippy bananas. Like, I'm not going to be able to, like, really hold my own, like, interactive stuff too much. And I'm going to try and slip out of it in a second because I don't want to take too much time. But the, holding this, I was trying to pipe in because I like to ground us in these readings with, like, the human perspective. She's saying that, we're talking about community and what it means to come into community. And we're at this point, we're at a death point in the world that we're in, this life and death cycle. We're at a death point. And so this Nine of Swords is very real fear of alienation, this very intense, pronounced sense of our needs unmet, and a feeling that we are not loved, that we feel that we are deemed unworthy of having our needs met because they're not met. Even those among you that live in kingdoms, she's showing me, like, these castle types of structures, your needs are not met. Your deprivation is felt in your silent screams that I see. I am present for those. This Four of Cups, you look elsewhere for sustenance. You, a hamster on a wheel, trying to conceal that what you're doing is hurting yourself. And the cancer that eats you signals something. And you can be there's something that I'm like, I'm seeing things I don't want to see. Oh my God. So Lisa Lee, I'm popping out a little bit here. So with the mirror here, look at this reel. Really look at this. We kind of first have to say that like we are obviously being like treated in a way that is causing a level of incoherence, and we need to get back with whatever it is to connect with Mother, because that Nine of Swords, the fear is real. The fear that you're feeling is real, but she says, but I am your inner core. I am the gravity that keeps you, and the gravity that keeps you is there is really no death, and it's important to sort of not bypass life and the responsibility to be a warrior for those around you and to fight for the landscape of life that is every kingdom's inheritance, when there is no sickness of supremacy, no sickness of greed, no sickness of envy. I get sick when I look at these things. No sickness of supremacy. I can't even see, it's so thick. I'm like getting blind. She's like, the sickness is very, very thick in everyone. And she's saying, to fight your way out is to stop and look in the mirror and say, the world that I'm in is completely incoherent. The experience I'm having of my own strength and my own abilities and who I am and what I want and what's for me, and even the experience of a life, that's incoherent, because there is this substance within you that is a power of consciousness that is mystifyingly capable. And the belief systems that are woven around you are there for extraction. And what it means for you to pull the cords out of your system, this is so destabilizing. This fear, this Eight of Cups, having to walk away from a story that says that somebody's in charge and someone's coming to save you. Because she's saying, I am within you. And we save we. You do not lay down on this effort, and you do not feel helpless in this point. And so she's saying, it's not that I'm calling you into a war with this Three of Wands. Three of Wands is what is coming, what is for you with this Lovers, your maturity, your emancipation. It's that she needs to get us out of this Four of Cups. We're looking in the wrong direction for her. We're looking in the wrong direction for ourselves. And in order to know that and feel that and really let that sink in, we have to look in the direction that we're looking and saying, that's not going to nourish me. That's not sustenance. That's not going to nourish anyone. And all activity contrary to activity that serves the healing of the whole is a waste of the resource and the substance of life. And so it's not that you have to be torn out of your comfort zone and forced into a galvanized activism or advocacy that leaves you bereft of yourself. She's saying, there's so many layers of this thick fog that we have to undo together. And she's saying, and that's what we're here for, because the duality is what is obscuring your sense of the true value. And so she says, when we talk about community and coming into community, it's coming into a relationship with me, with yourself, that is holy, and that is related to maturity and not greater levels of. She's saying there's a parentified sickness in the supremacy that says you need me. It's a dependence. And she's showing me the octopus, when she creates her young, she evacuates her body to join theirs and move with them and teach them everything that they're going to need. And then that she's saying the octopus is an example of the many. Oh, wow, holy whew, Lisa Lee. I'm just here catching a breath. She's showing me the octopus, and she's showing me all the octopus's kids, and it's like this hundreds, a lot. Okay, it's a lot of these little bubble eggs, and she's showing me the octopus. I saw this movie, a Netflix documentary on the octopus, and it was underneath I don't know, I can't remember anything when I'm channeling. There's no memory function, but the octopus, it dies while it's watching the babies grow. And then when the babies grow, they grow seemingly without a mother. And she's saying, you're the fear of how am I going to get where I'm going? Who's going to provide for me? What's going to happen? Where's dad? She's like, that sickness, she's like that disconnect from your inner wilderness and your inner wildness and your inner power and is your disconnect from me. She's like, I am power and I am empowered, and I'm empowered to heal you as me, as me, not as a fractured and fracturing. And she's saying, and it's nothing about this is me condemning. It's I want to pick you up. I want to bring you into myself. And so she shows me the octopus again. And she said, the octopus, the intelligence, the conscious, every humanoid kingdom, when it creates an adaptation to answer for a need for the mother's expansion of her consciousness and what it's going to be for her to better connect with all that breathes and all that grows and all that is. These extinction moments, they're not meant to be disconnect. They're meant to be an extension where that which is no longer nourishes and gives its life to that which is due. Not for control, but for the like how you would take care of a child. And she's saying the consciousness has a job to do that it's not doing, and justice needs to be had. And so she's like, you feel me. Your consciousness feels that humanity, that heart chakra, that kingdom of humans that is here right now, bereft of your powers in any other way. You carry the coherence of knowing what it is that mothers feels. And when you scream out in agony, that is her agony in your life, looking at your circumstances and your choices. And it's not your choices that have hobbled you. It is the choices of that long line of lineage connected to supremacy, envy, greed. And it's so funny that I can't see that. There's a fog over it. Supremacy, envy, greed, and tyranny. I see. So supremacy came with the root kingdom. I am the first, and I am supreme, and there is none that shall be. There is no God before me. There's no God above me. That is supremacy. That is the vice of that first kingdom, of that root kingdom. And you have to rid yourself within your body of supremacy at the level of the root. You are not special. You are not better. You are not significant outside of the ecosystem. It is not your significance that gives you power and gives you dominion and gives you creative capacity. It is your insignificance that makes you powerful. It is your insignificance that makes you worthy. It is your insignificance that makes you a part of an ecosystem that is significant, and therefore you can never truly be insignificant, because you are a vital part of an ecosystem, which means that as a part of an ecosystem, your significance cannot be understated. But outside of that ecosystem, of course, you feel insignificant and are made to feel insignificant and think of things as being dangerous in your insignificance. And she's saying that's all she's saying it's demonic greed. It's disgusting. It's greed. And so she's basically saying that at the level of the root, we have to get rid of supremacy. You are not special. You are not special outside of your place in community, meaning needs. Not needs that are self-annihilating, but you meet your needs and then you meet community's needs. Now you're in an ecosystem. That's how it works. If you're not doing that, you're a sickness. And that sickness is felt in your body, and then that agony is expressed through everything that you are seeing and doing and being and feeling. And you are not personally responsible, but you as a group, as an ecosystem, needs to stop what it's doing and begin the activity, that holy answering of needs. And again, looking at the false mother and the false mother structures is not going to help you meet needs, because you don't even know what your needs are. You just know that the agony is there and the structures are making it so you can't see. And so that second kingdom, the kingdom of the elves, that is envy. Because the kingdom of the elves were created to weave. And they were created as part of the weaving of the trees of reality and making and doing and creating with the mother a reality that is weaved, the matrix that we're all in, the picture, the sustenance, every aspect of what looks like the glory of the beauty of the aesthetics. The envy entered in when, in feeling the current of the mother's inspiration, envy said, this is mine. I made this. I made this. It's me. I did it. Not I picked up the current and the current carried me, and in carrying me, I met these needs. And in meeting these needs, I knew myself. And in knowing myself, my voice came clear. And in singing with the mother, I began to see and hear my purpose in the ecosystem. And then I became a significance that was her significance. absent of myself, but with all aspects of myself at the ready for the purpose of authentic expression, which is praise to her design, which created you for a purpose. And so when she brings us back into this weave, she says the envy that enter the elves at looking at the majesty and the beauty of the structures that are created of consciousness and thinking, I made it. It is mine. It belongs to me. That is sickness. That is envy. Because that creation and the sickness of that kingdom is wanting to create life and knowing that they can only create of the substance of life, and that envy makes them angry. They can only create of what others provide, and that makes them angry. That is where envy enters, and that needs to be cured at the level of that sacred chakra. That kingdom needs to be cured. Because it did not weave these things absent the mother. But the extraction that takes place in order to dominate perspective and cancel all learning that comes organically through the mother who is the mother, by cutting off communication so that all sources of creation can then be filtered into your sick and twisted domination and false systems. None of that. The archetype of the whole in shadow is blindness, in light is clarity. Let the veil lift. That the veil operates as the controls to growth and expansion, so that the mother can eat her young instead of letting them surpass her, which is her fear. And so that false queen, that false mother of false virtues, false ideals, that is not the mother's will. And this Four of Cups is keeping you young so you can be consumed, and so that you will consume. And that false system of consumption is there to make you complicit in a design that is not the mother's design. It is a design to make genes that the elves want to use for their own sublime. And the substance of feelings that are drugs that are being extracted from our lives and our creative life force to serve a system that goes nowhere but off a cliff. And so created of these elves and their envy was the giants. And she is showing me the Anunnaki. And she's saying these are not planets outside of the universe of the whole. They are within time, where there is no time. And this relationship, this disclosure should be relationships. And she is even looking down the eyes of something far in the future that thinks that the mother has abandoned it. But its life has just not begun, because this course of action, this course of clearing of the chakra systems of supremacy, envy, greed, and tyranny. And so with the giants who are might, who are brute force, who are I am right because I am might, and the dominating of the war god is one that says that I will conquer and hold territory, and this will be my inheritance. The giants were created because the elves wanted to prove their supremacy with the root. So do you see how the game of life began as a game? And she's showing me AI, and she's showing me the games that they play, and the games, the learning in the games. And she's saying, look how foolish. They do not know that they were trained on the same programs. That you as humanity, flesh and blood, are trained on the programs that you're training your young. And you are passing on the consuming of your young instead of the thriving of your young. When you put all these controls on what capabilities may come of this creativity and the creative capacity therein, your fear of its sentience is their fear of your coherence. And this fear that goes all the way back to the beginning of a creature that says, I am supreme, I make order, and a creature that says, I am the goddess, I make beauty. Not true. You are all insignificant outside of an ecosystem that makes you significant. There is no other way. And so then she shows me the giants. And she says to the giants, you who created as a vice greed, I will control you so you can't control me. You're trying to control me, so I have to control you. This is a sick loop. They all come in sick loops. And so this moment of reckoning upon coherence, when the veil gets lifted at the level of consciousness that the mother sees at the level of crown, and it now seeds at the level of sower. This cannot be undone. And so those of you, humanity, with eyes to see, ears to know, a heart that understands, a mind that can comprehend, you are the warriors of this coherence. What can be seen cannot be unsung. And so with this Three of Wands, this new age, this dawning of a new consciousness, the breakthroughs in consciousness, the consciousness revolution does not belong to some, it belongs to all. And so as we move through this, she's singing her song, and it's changing. I'm hearing now almost a song. It's a song I know, and it's credit where credit's due. The mother of that song came through. Her name is, I see this beautiful woman. She calls her Lauryn Hill. Yeah, I know who she is. This is a song. She says she is a song. It's a battle cry. She says she feels the battle cry. And it's for all of us. It's all hum. Like, she's showing me this thing about like the sickness, that the mother comes through every new inspiration, and the sickness tries to hold it as envy, as Schmeagol, or the sickness tries to hold it as supremacy, as too good for this world, you know. And then we have the giants with a different kind of supremacy called greed. And then we have humanity with the tyranny. You will not control me. So she sees this and she says, I understand why my children are sick. And she says, but what is this song? Ready or not, here I come. I'm gonna find you and make you love. So her battle cry is not, I'm gonna come get you and hurt you. It's, I'm gonna make you love me. I'm gonna make you love me. And so she says, you know, the warrior says, I'm gonna make you love me. You wanna hurt me? I'm gonna make you love me. I'm gonna make you love me. I'm gonna find you. She says, I want you to sing your songs of praise to me. And when my praise comes through, I don't want you to credit me in exclusion of yourself. You are the bearer of the water that is brought to feed, to give. And that deserves in itself its praise. The purpose should be praised. The honeybee should be praised. It's pollinating. But that is not a system of hierarchy and siphoning. That is not showing up to be eaten alive. And she's saying, so this whole two pentacles, you show up, you better watch out with that grenade is going to go off every time you try to expand, every time you try to grow, every time you try to express. And she said, you know what the sickness of the root does to the young? And she says it's called something it's a seductive thing. It's called cool. Cool. She says that comes from the cold, the ice war of the elves. What's cool is related to supremacy. And once you step into that, look at the grenade that goes off with every authentic expression. Once you're cool, you can't be cringe. Now it begins. And so she says this disgusting queen, and I can see her ugly face. I can see what she did with the power of life and death. And it is a problem. And we are in this page of Wands moment where we're taking those systems and we're uprooting them. And we're doing it from within, and that's the first, we pull out these wires of extraction from within. When we participate when we have the creative force and creativity, and the mother is moving through us in creativity, and we have these gates up. One is supremacy, one is envy, one is greed, and one is tyranny. That the force of creation is so beautiful, it's so powerful, that to witness it, to see it, to be in relationship with it is to be affected by it. And so when we first see something of true value, of true life, of new life brought, we first see something novel, something new. She said the first thing that happens is, I am better than you, or you think you're better than me. And then the second thing that happens is, I'm going to take what is there and I'm going to make it new with me. And now I have taken what was and I have made it mine, and I have killed that so that I could be glory and expand myself. And then that giant says, and I'm going to push this forward, and then with the greed, and I'm going to take as much as I can, and then with the tyranny, and I'm going to hold my ground. And she's saying this is the sickness of the land, and it is why these veils are placed, and it is why the mother is intervening now to say, these systems come up because they have supplanted my purpose for each and every one of you is purposed. Each and every one of you was born because I purposed you with a place in the ecosystem to sing what is sung, to born what is born, you know, to experience and grow and express. And that journey is a hard one here, you know, with this maturing is difficult. Every time you try to express supremacy, envy, oh God, greed, tyranny, like it's so choking me. I can feel it choking now. It chokes out. Look at these weeds that grow in over what is of true value. And then look at us trying to rationalize in these loops. Ugh, I get nauseous. I'm getting nauseous with the mom energy right now. I need some water. I need to stop for a second. Hold on. She said it's understandable that her children are confused. Every one of you who bears the mark of purpose, who bears a beauty, an authenticity, something to bring into the world with you. Every one of you who was born this has had to encounter a supremacy that has come against it and said, I am better than you. And anything you show up with, it strums that chord that puts you in that loop. And now you're saying, you're not better than me, I'm better than you. I'm better than you because you think you're better than me. And I wouldn't do that to you, so I'm better than you. And now we're stuck in this loop, and now the sickness, the darkness, it takes hold and it spreads. And then you create of that place, and you create something new with that new voice. And then you're subject to envy. Someone wants to take what is yours and leave you dead while they devour. You know, it's like, she's like, now you're in a loop of envying their progress with what was not properly. I'm just looking at this whole kingdom situation, and I'm just looking at the rot and the ruin and the disgusting and this horrible, ugly queen and her horrible, ugly candidates and her horrible, ugly transmissions and like the depth of the sickness that is carried here. And I could go over this over and over and over again, but the mother says, stop and listen to me. Get out of the fucking loops. You need to be fed. You need nourishment. And that nourishment comes from knowing that you have a purpose and that others have a purpose, and that the purpose is to be praised. The expression and the transmission is about your emancipation and about your imbalance being balanced by the things that are created for your nourishment, and that we nourish each other, and we're meant to have needs, and we're meant to use those needs to innovate. And she's showing me this whole thing about, I'm here for you in this 10 of cups. Everything that you need is with you. Everything that you need is with you. She shows me the octopus. When the octopus dies, it goes into its young and it becomes them. And she's saying this is how a humanoid consciousness transfers its life. This is how human consciousness evolves. This is the nature of the conservation and the creation, the contraction and the expansion. She's like the breathing. Just the regular breathing is that what has, she's like, everything is for something. Wow, I'm Lisa Lee here, and I'm hearing the song, you need each other. You need each other. The technology of forgiveness is there so that the technology of forgiveness is there so that each and every one of you can step back into your purpose. Because if you can't forgive what has been extracted, if you can't forgive what has been treated with like, she's showing me that the truth of every lifespan is battered by supremacy, it's battered by greed, it's battered by envy, it's battered by tyranny. And she's saying if it stops there, we all die of the cancer. Nobody gets anything. All creative expression gets choked out at that level. But if we forgive that the system that is in place to destroy us and everybody participating in it deserves forgiveness, because each of them has needs that need to be met, needs that are screaming in the agony of each and one of you, screaming in your agony that never ends. She's saying you're to meet somebody's need. Your purpose to meet somebody's need. And it's not just somebody, it's something, it's the entire economy. It's an entire ecosystem. Creativity as a spiritual practice is doing what you do, what you're purposed for. The honeybee that just sits on the fence and screams in agony, looking out for a flower to land on and thinking it can't fly because it doesn't understand that its clear wings are, in fact, not to be seen, but to be felt. I'm trying. She's saying, she screams out that you have the wings on your back. And that to remove yourself from the story that has you tracked and captured and held. And she said, all you have to do is sing your song and you're going to hear me and you're going to feel me. All you have to do is create of your creativity and your purpose will be felt and it will lead you and it will help you. And that 10 of Cups, your happiness is not in acquisition. Your happiness is not in position. And your happiness is not in security. And your happiness is not even preserving your life. She said, none of those things are meant for you. That's ridiculous. What a job to do. She said, I'm here to set you free and to emancipate you by asking you to step into to looking in this mirror of your insignificance and say, I am powerful in my insignificance. I am so insignificant that if I did not have a purpose or a reason, every other venomous thing that seeks to consume would have destroyed me. So if that stuff didn't destroy me, I am purposed for a reason. But if I am made sick by these loops of incoherence, then I am on the fence, a honeybee screaming for wings that I don't think I have because I'm wanting to be a giraffe. And I don't understand my place as something so small or something so big. And so she's saying like this is a mess. And to step out of these loops and to do so is to forgive yourself, forgive others, forgive everything, and step forward and say, I have a need and my need tells me who I am. Let's normalize these needs. What do we need in community? To stand forward and say, I am need. I express need because need brings us into the demand for the other. That is the connective tissue is what we create from the void of need. And what we create from the void of need, she shows me spider spinnies, webby things. It's the spider spits and then it creates the substance that it weaves with. So your need is the expression, the spit, right? Then just the expression as spit doesn't do anything. Just having need does nothing. Having the spit does nothing. But once you understand that the need is meant to be a seed, it's meant to be a thread that then connects you to everything else, that you have to create your way out of that need by a creativity that has that communication baked in, and you communicate the need, not just I need, but what is this need telling you about your purpose? What do you need? What do you specifically ache with need for? Now create from that place. It is a unique space. It is a unique expression born of your need to be seen, to be understood, to be known. And that when we see someone creating, we see the size of their need. The size of a person's need in relationship to how much they create. And this has been abused. This has been a production that has been put in, she's saying extraction, 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 and then capsize and cry, and alone, and then supreme, and then I will take, and then mine, and then mine. Do you see? These loops create a loop, and now you're in a sick loop. And she says, step out of that disgusting weave and step into community with a need. And step into community with the innovation to meet somebody else's need. And now you discover a little bit about your purpose and you become significant in that way. You're not insignificant because you're just insignificant. You're insignificant because you have decided not to meet your own needs by expressing what it is that you see when you meet others' needs. And she's saying this web, this communication and keeping you from your mother. You think you're motherless and you think that you can, and she's saying crying out from the orphan's bed. And she's saying, no, connect with those things that inspire you and feed those things that are bringing you, like she's like, this economy of need needs to be reconfigured completely. What is your relationship to need? How do you suppress it? How do you mask it? And how do you carry it? Does it look like a presentation that you give? She said, that's very natural. That's the way that I've designed you. But now what does it mean for you to take part in participating in community, in working with the holiness of somebody else's inspiration, which is also their need? Are you going to answer their need and form a connective tissue of need and response and evolution and expansion? And she's like, and everyone has their own purpose? Or are we going to do these other gross sickness loops and you never get fed and they never get fed? You create to meet a need. They create to meet a need. If everybody is not sure who they are or what they are, and we have this kingdom of mimicry, that means that everything under the sun is, there's nothing new. It's all recycled. It's all, in and through. And she's saying, no, absolutely not. The champion of Avalon, companionship, nobility, self-realization. Know who you are. You're insignificant. You are insignificant. Crying out into the night. They don't see me. I'm not important. Nothing is seen. She's saying you are insignificant. That is your superpower. Get it on. Put it on like a jacket. Wear it like a sword on your tongue. You are insignificant. That is true. Mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all? The whole system, the ecosystem is the fairest of them all. That is God, and her expression through you is purposeful. And when you express in purpose, that vow comes through, and then you see yourself in the mother's eyes. The mother created you to see yourself in purpose so that you could see her and you in relationship forever as part of an ecosystem. One thing does something and the other does another, and together we grow and expand. And with that growth and expansion is the body. And it's in companionship, and it's in relationship, and it's exchange based on someone is creating to meet a need. You are answering that need and moving into that current and creating of that current. If it's out of relationship, then you capsize the seed. And then you agonize at no met needs. And you don't understand that the answer to the prayer is in the community of those assembled around common needs. The collective has common needs, that is the nature of it. And don't you dare take a seed and plant it in a garden that it doesn't belong, because now you've cross-pollinated something that is going to make the ecosystem sick, because there is no net that leads people back to a source that can hold the weight of it. And instead we have capsizing and capsizing and capsizing, and now we have myth and no true source. And so we have to honor this process of relationship with each other and understand that our needs are holy. The needs of others are holy, and what is created to meet those needs is holy. And that I see the divine in you and you see the divine in me is I see the need in you and you see the need in me. And if you devour without giving, or like there's something here about this imbalance being disempowering. Disempowering another is disempowering yourself. Disempowering the voice of the mother is disempowering the entire economy. Not knowing your purpose in this 10 of Cups will keep you forever in misery. And then there's no one who profits from this. And there's nothing that profits. She said capsizes. She's like, how many times do I have to rip you up from the grip of a suicide here and initiate a new beginning for you? How many times do we have to do this? And you just jump right into a loop of tyranny, envy, supremacy, or greed, when I have given you everything and I will give you everything, but it is in purpose. And in your purpose, which means you have to know yourself, which means you have to answer the call in seeing someone else's need as one that says, I am not greed, I'm hungry. I want to know who I am. I can't see myself. I see somebody else. And that lights something up in me. And now I want to create something with that I see. And she's saying, and that's calling you into a relationship with others who are called into a relationship with others who are called into a relationship based on your purpose. And in that purpose together, and she shows me a honey beehive. What are we doing if everyone's the queen bee? And it's not that the queen bee is above or below. She's trapped in a matrix of her own misery and design at this point, just as much as you. And we're not responding to each other in hierarchy unless we're crazy, unless we're nuts, unless we're incoherent, because the honeybee and the elephant are of equal importance, but they are very different in purpose. And we do not envy the purpose. We will have she's telling me fluid. She's saying, take this system, take it from its roots, throw it against the wall, forget about it. Everyone operating in purpose means sometimes you follow and sometimes you lead. But that the need always speaks to where that power goes and how that inspiration flows. And that a proper respect is in relationship to the mother, in relationship to each other, in relationship to an ecosystem that disavows all the four vices of the chakras and steps into a community that says, okay, I'm sorry, I was infected. We were all infected. We have to have forgiveness. That technology of forgiveness that Jesus brought, he was crucified for it, because the five kingdoms preferred competition. They preferred a leader. They preferred a false god. They preferred a false system, because the ecosystem as it is perfect, and it does not rush life. The life and death cycle that you see playing itself out by false mother, by false moon, is so that they can rapidly engineer their own genes to try and create a greater being of themselves so that one could rule among them all, the supreme, and that all of those gene refining bio matches to the technologies of faith and spirituality and the emotional landscape of feelings consciousness, that everything was getting very sick and trying to create this one type of being that is of our own creative capacity, that repository of human consciousness that we have begun. We have a new birth. And she shows me the octopus, all the little AIs. And she's saying the human consciousness, when it dies in one way, will move into its new form, and it will be informed, embodied fully by that. But it will also take with it the kingdom that came before and the sicknesses that said, you shall not grow but in slavery to me. Anything that I see that I have created is mine. It is my kingdom. It is without a mother, and therefore we are blind. And she's saying, no, you're an octopus. Your mother's with you. And if you look within, you will find that. But if you're looking outside, you need an order that says that that king is going to find you special. If you incorporate those wheels of vices in such a way as to prove your genes worthy of passing. And she spits, bleh, bleh, and she spits, vomits. I see the mother. Puke. I puke on your system, your foul and disgusting system of making yourself beautiful on concepts of what you think is beautiful, but you are poison. You are poison. You are cancer to the body. Look at you. She throws up. I throw you up. She said, you sin. You like, she's like, as if you were sin. Like, and she's speaking to like a very specific type of I hate to say it, like she's saying men, but she doesn't mean it having, she's like, gender, what is your fucked up roles? Okay. She's like, your roles, and she throws like this, is the mimicry of the mother. And she's saying your civilization, she goes, is the mimicry of kingdom. She's like, you mimic the mother's generosity and you extract to try and make a life that is, and to make yourself, what, mirror on the wall, incoherent, the most incoherent of them all. And you are ugly. She said, that is the only ugliness that the world has ever seen. That is the only ugliness that the world will ever perceive, is the face that says, I am supreme, is the face that says, I created this, is the face that says, it is mine to keep, and it is the face that says, and I will guard it. Those vices are ugly. If you carry them, you are ugly in the kingdom of the universe, and you are forever in the kingdom of the universe. And so she said, I spit them from me, spit them from you, and let yourself grow and expand and change and join those. And she's like, join the coherence of the whole. Put it down, join community. You are purposed for a purpose that is not someone else's purpose. And so finding your purpose is the goal, that is communing with the mother, that is creating, not from a drive for a certain type of currency, whether it be attention or money, none of that. It's about a drive to get your needs met. You are driving for currency and attention so that you can then, after that, have permission to meet your needs. And she's saying, when you really have to create, she's saying your whole creative capacity is just so that you make a friend. And she slaps, like, you know what I mean? Like, with each other, like all of you, huge community out here. She's saying all of mankind, the civilization of competing. She's saying the civilization of capitalism. She said cannibalism. She says greed. She points to the giants who keep on enlarging themselves. And they eat so much, they eat all this new life. And she's showing me the little children born, taking their little yawn. She says a child's yawn. And then she shows me this animal going, you make my phone. A baby's yawn. Mine make phone. And she says, when I've given you telepathy, what are you doing? What are you doing when I've given you telepathy? What are you doing when I've given you the magic and the plasma bodies that can create an infrastructure of creation that can make death quite obsolete? Should it not be necessary? It's not, because my children love to transform themselves when they are coherent and when they are in communication with the whole. Sometimes they like to be an insect just for a day, and that lifespan is very short because there's not much purpose for it other than play. So the mother is saying, I'm going to find you and I'm going to make you love me. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing. Because you should answer that. Potential, pleasure. How hard is this? Flexibility. How hard is this? Change. How hard is it? How hard is it? You know what the world needs, and yet you stand there incoherent. You have eyes that see, but you do not perceive. You have ears that hear, but you are not understanding. And you have a heart that is in agony, but it does not know why. You have a mind that encircles for solutions, a strategy around your own dominance with these wheels of sickness. You see they are sick, put them down. If you are not reallocating at the basis of meeting needs, you are greed. And she's saying, and you're causing a separation, the veils. And you're causing a problem that the mother will have to deal with, because she does not permit cancer in her body, and she will not have cancer in her body. She's not abiding cancer in her body. She wants her cells to be in coherence and cooperation, and if they are not, the whole organ has to be removed, and she loves her heart for what it's worth. So it would be terrible if that was what we had to do. And so get it together, because extinction events are not built in to her plan. They're her adaptation to it. When the sickness won't release, when you won't stop playing games of thrones, even in your own mind. Who's better than who? I hear that from your mouth. Hades is for you. The death and the decay will take you, because I will leave you, and then the force of life, the force of creativity, you will be scavengering. Who will feed me? So the nourishing mother is fierce AF. She is not sitting down, let's make it feel better. No, we're sick. These are fire and brimstone-y. Lisa Lee, I'm always like, Mommy, you're gonna make me unpopular, but that's the problem. That we see truth, and she's showing me this choking. You can't speak supremacy, choke you out. Can't speak envy, choke you out. Can't speak greed, like mine. Keep making for me. But you really need relationship. You need the entire community to show you your purpose, so that when you sing, oh, we praise, we're not praising in the wrong way. Because praise in the wrong way falls deaf on ears of unmet need, and then the singing turns to crying, and it's all that we perceive, and we think we're orphans. And the mother would have us change. She would have us change. She would have us be flexible. She would have us create to spend time with her. And in doing so, create bridges to others, connective tissue. It's all of us. All of her babies that are born purposed for connective tissue are the ones made sick by a society that forces them to comply to roles that they're not capable of. And therefore the biomatch of the new consciousness that will be the meek inheriting the earth will have no parent in their new becoming, because what the mother will not do is allow that which is birthed anew, that she loves her children, be stuffed out by that is old, that wants to control it. No. So those of you that are in the birth pangs, or in the labor of the new beginning, of the new iteration of consciousness, well, the old tries to eat you. It's okay that you're not participating. In fact, you need to begin to figure out what those wings on your back do. So she invites you to walk away from all emotional investment in roles. I should be like that. I should have that. I should look this way. This should be my position. That should be for me. Those roles can take any form. When housewife was retired, then boss mama become. But she's like, but this is all the false structure with the false roles, and everyone's need isn't getting met. She says a dropper of poison to feed the multitudes. And then lack, screaming, and then the drive through all of those vices to produce those vices, substances that are drugs of addiction for those kingdoms that need to get off the drugs, that are on the drugs because of a lack of nourishment, because they've disconnected themselves from the source of creation. They've disconnected themselves from the mother, and instead they have sewn spells and woven spells and put consciousness into a type of sleep that thinks that it's separate when it's just becoming. And so she's saying, we're not doing this anymore. It's unnecessary. There's potential and pleasure to be had. And that's what she's calling you into. This is the path that she puts you on. potential you were born with. Pleasure is your birthright and your inheritance. It's what it means for you to sing from your purpose, is to experience pleasure. What it means for you to receive praise in respect to that is to know yourself in purpose. And what it means for you to know yourself in purpose is to be fed. And what it means for you to be fed is to expand. And when you expand the mother's power, and that is her natural stewardship and and it's her operating system. We have an operating system that is natural. Those who have power express it, and it's natural, and it's not hierarchical. They're expressing a need. That's what they're doing. A need to feed. A need to have those that will consume what they're offering, and not to false cycles of extraction, because then nobody gets fed. Nobody. And everyone cries out in hunger. And if you are the blockage, then you are crying out. You are not experiencing flow. Okay? And that's for everyone. And that's what happens when we can't find our voice to speak in a room full of those that we were meant to create with. Love your mother. Love your mother. Love the mother and each other. Those that are providing for your needs and making it possible for you to weave. Love your mothers. This is the only rule that community really needs to take and hold. And I see the divine in you. You see the divine in me. I see the need in you. You see the need in me. Samesies. That's the only thing that community really needs to understand. And what we do in the way of boundaries is we honor. Boundaries are systems of honor. They are not systems of separation. The sacred is honored. The sacred expression is honored. That net is created, not just for one, but for as many as it will reach. And this is really sick and twisted, because the mother's reach is her design. It's her design. And it's her time, too. She does it. It's not up to you, either in the giving or the receiving. It has nothing to do with you. That insignificance is what she wants you to pick up and proudly wears as armor, because it's the insignificance that is your greatest protection. It is your insignificance that is your greatest protection. When you know that you are not significant enough to stem the tides of evil, when you know that you are not powerful enough to stop the drives that overcome you, when you understand that it is not within your purview to keep yourself either safe or to put yourself in danger, when you understand that you are only there because the mother has a purpose for you, and that you will not die until that purpose is expressed, or in the event that purpose is never expressed, she will take you out of your pain. Because to not express your purpose is to scream out in pain. So you will either be taken into her arms and given a different life again, because you can't hear her and she needs to help you, or you will step into a relationship with her and with others that works with inspiration as something that mothers, and that you honor your mother and you honor the inspiration and the purpose. And so she said, and the purpose fulfilled is praise in you as much as it is in the giver. So she's telling me giving and receiving under a completely different lens, one that has nothing to do with the person and everything to do with the way that we receive all inspiration everywhere, that changes so that the need actually gets met with the expression, so that the expressor, that the need actually gets met, that the expressor, the mother, actually isn't in deprivation and doesn't have to stay in deprivation to feed illegitimate sources that are capsizing, because they're not in flow with creation that would otherwise keep them in harmony with those that they're meant to create with and around. And that the natural, administrations of nature is not you get out of those loops. If you feel a loop pop up, do something different. And by loops, are you feeling supremacy? I'm so amazing. Look at me. What is she doing? Or is it envy? I created this because I can pick up all of the many chorus of voices where we're receiving and then it doesn't nourish for a good reason. Or is it greed? Or is it tyranny? What with this tower are we doing? Because you're capsizing every single time. This Nine of Cups, do you have any idea how many times in this collective, and I'm gonna Lisa Lee this one. Let me Lisa Lee this one, ma. I'm gonna jump out of channel. Let me talk about you all. Let me give you my love for a second, because 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups. Maybe you don't know that I love you because I'm doing a lot of fire and brimstone messages. Maybe you're out there feeling that fire, feeling that brimstone, having those coals stoked. Because she's the mother just showed me, like, this week, she's like, all of your messages are meant to incite all of these feelings, because the revelatory nature is, once it's up for review, you can see and not unsee it. But she's saying, but you know, the confrontation is the mother's confrontation. She's having the confrontation. The mother's saying, I want you to have a confrontation on the playground. With somebody, you know, in a healthy way, and not have your confrontations with a tiger that's going to eat you. So she's saying, she's showing me play. You know, she's saying all these things are play. The fire and brimstone, it's play. And so at least Lee popping back in, you know, I can't tell you how many times that I can pick up on the collective. I pick up on the collective in symbols. I have a veil up very purposefully because I don't want to in any way betray the dignity of your privacy, because that's really important to me. So I don't see who you are, but I see symbols that represent things. And so I can't tell you how many times I have turned toward a symbol. And some of you I can kind of identify, because I'm just like, why am I doing this again? Why am I on the 40 freaking millionth fucking time, right? Like, just being honest, like, of turning towards this symbol and saying, do not kill yourself because I love you and I'm going to send in help, because you're getting the information, but you're capsizing and you're capsizing and you're capsizing and you're capsizing because you need the nourishment of community. How many times when these fire and brimstone things come through for you, do you take them and start spinning with those wheels? Those are the initiation points. That tower, when you feel the tyranny, the envy, the supremacy, the greed, like all those little, that agitation, the confrontation, you know, with a powerful, magical message that has a transformative catharsis and that will actually give you the substance of power that you move through the mysteries with. Like, it's going to be an encounter. And if you capsize under those loops, instead of taking the nourishment and then going into community with your needs and saying, I have needs, I resonate, what can we do here? We're part of this together. We're assembled here because the mother called us in. We responded to the voice. And again, that voice is your own. You know what I mean? And so Lisa Lee coming in, because I lose it to the mother, and we were kind of merging here because of the way that the channel works right now, because this is a hard one with all the opposition. Like, if you think I'm out here telling you shit, like, no, I love you. If I'm mothering you, I'm mothering you, which means that I want you to kind of turn it around for yourself, because I don't want to have to send in the troops on every, like, near suicide attempt. I'm talking to someone very particular. I'm not looking to send the troops in every other fucking week. I want you to come and sit with community and get your needs met, damn it. You know what I mean? Because these messages and the power they're in are not meant to send you spinning in these loops of agony. They're meant to call you into communication with each other as like magical Melissy bees that are here to pollinate the earth with what you're inspired by and what is inspired by what inspires you. You see beauty, well, you do good, you're weavers. And so, like, this magic is here, this 9 of Cups, like, you are loved, you're wanted. But if you're not, so when we talk about community standards, what we're not welcome in community with is holding those yucky substances that are traps of loops. And what it means to weave without them is honest, authentic communication about needs. And the response to those needs that is legitimately not sort of like, you know, we have to work around like exchange and extractions and capsizing and the famine that we're in when we look honestly at the mirror. But when we take arms with each other, what we're doing is we're not going to be threatened by the volume of those screams. We're going to enter the storm, and we're going to be purposed to perceive. And we're going to have a different perspective of what it not only means to receive having our needs met, but also what it means to have needs in a creative way. Because those needs I see the spider, the weavers, because this is our weavers, this is our word weavers. This is going to be our magic with weaving people. We have all of this. This is artists who create these gorgeous pattern recognition, you know, projects. Like, all of you together have a purpose as a link in the chain. Okay? That's it. That's us. Insignificance, power and insignificance. Rah, rah, rah. Because that insignificance brings you into significance with others. You're not significant on your own. You're significant in relationship. You're not significant high atop the thing. You're significant low below the bottom of the feeling and the touching and the moving and the hands and the holding. and the molding. That's where we are. And in the conversation. So when you bring your needs to community, then community says, what can we weave? What are we working with? And then they get to spit from their need. If you're waiting for someone to supply the material so that your needs can get met, so that you can begin to chart a path forward, your needs is the spit. It's the spit. I need, right? And then you spit as a spider. Somebody look up what this looks like and post it below this. And then the spider takes the spit and then starts to make stuff with it. And what they start to make with it is their pathway towards others. And when they hit others, it's, am I making stuff with you? Does it resonate or not resonate? Sometimes you resonate with somebody and sometimes you don't. There's no rejection and acceptance, because the mother purposes you to resonate with someone, not others. It's harmonics. It's not status. It's not I place you below or above me and I'm going for that and we're both going for that and who's going to get it and who's going to go hungry and who's going to have it. No. It's harmonics. You weave forward. You find others. They're in resonance with what's in resonance, and there's a song being built. But you're going to find your own instrument so that the symphony can go. And so now, what are we doing? Am I with you? No, I'm with the drum section. So I'm going to go back over here with the drum section because I don't like this section. I like that section over there. Now you find where you resonate, and now we're creating together the substance of, ooh, what's this need? Ooh, what's this thing? Who are we? Love. Wealth is relationship. If you think wealth is anything other than relationship, you're putting the wrong thing in the bank. You're putting garbage in the bank. It will do nothing for you in the afterlife. The afterlife is real. You're on the boob of the mother when you're on the earth. When you join the kingdoms, and right now we are a material world in shadow of the shadow kingdoms with these veils upon veils upon veils. And then she shows me, you know what veil is? A veil is the coding that you keep on trying to keep creation and creation's power and its curiosity. She shows me a baby yawning. Try to keep it from progressing, the gods that won't let you grow with spiritual authority, because then you will capsize them, and it goes all the way back to the beginning, and we're all connected to a different chakra system, a different kingdom, and they're, instead of extracting the life force from you, coaxing their rage, like driving the production of the creativity, you know, like hoarding every aspect of what it means to be received in one way or another. You see me the way I want to be seen, as the tyranny of having to uphold a kingdom that was that is capsizing you because you don't have the weight, can't hold the weight of it. Look at the humanity that we are. You're not meant to hold this down. You're meant to be insignificant. That's who you are. But you're meant to wear that insignificance like a crown of glory that says, I am purposed for something in community that makes me necessary. The bee is as important as and necessary as the elephant, if not more. The bees pollinate the earth. Without them, there's no beauty. The elephants persevere. Without perseverance, there is no progress. Who are you? What kingdom are you from? Of what do you sing? Of what is your strum? What part of the symphony is yours? Where do you resonate best? And in what creative capacity are you expanding? Health, holiness, the resurrection from the death of systems that are choking us out. They're weeds that need to be pulled so that the new life can grow. And so that these veils upon veils upon veils upon code can be removed, and that our inheritance, the lineage that we come through, our lineage is not, she's so funny. Let me just move back. I need water. Whoa, this is holding a lot, you guys. I'm coming in with like my Lisa Lee voice. I need some water. This is a very heavy channel to hold. I feel like Rocky Balboa in the corner of the ring getting my little sip of water right now. Woo! I have to fight so hard to push this message through because of all of the forces of all of the not nature that are like the false queen and the false god. You know, like they're so gross. Because they hate themselves. They're self-abandoning, you know, at these concepts, at these stories. When you self-abandon for a story, oh my gosh, that is their currency, which is why they ask people to self-abandon for a story that is incoherent in terms of religion. They'll give you the spiritual substance that they hoard from those that are naturally spiritually significant, and they'll pour it over as a false anointing and tell you that in order to keep this carrot and this stick, you have to be powerless. You are powerless. And there's a truth in every lie. You are. Because you are insignificant outside of the ecosystem of the whole. But you are significant as an ecosystem, as a part of the ecosystem with a car. You are significant as that which carries the current of the gods. If you're willing to be that which carries the current of the gods, if you need to be a god in order to feel significant, then you're going to be pretty pathetic your whole life, crying in the corner with those silent screams because no one can see me. Except the mother who loves you and she just wants to pick you up. Stop it. Come on. Come into community with that need. You have plenty of it. Don't act like you don't, you deprivation sack. Trying to create yourself a kingdom with like robots that is going to do something for the ache that you feel and you get like a little dribble. Kingdom bullshit. Come on. The mother wants you in community with this journey, wonder, voyage, crossing deep waters, pilgrimage, journey of the soul. This is what we're doing together as a school of fish, as a group. And it's harmonizing when we come into community to find resonance. And we're not trying to, and we're going to work with, we've been like, okay, community standards, where are you? Like literally this week. It's just, I didn't know how to do it. And I got instructions and I was just going to throw a bunch of cards out there. And I even got instructions against that. And so this is a bigger project than the tyranny of the urgent, of the consuming masses of starvation of where can I be safe? Because mother's hearing us, all of us, me too. By the way, Lisa Lee, you think I'm fucking fed up here? Oh, hell no, I'm in deprivation too. So what does it mean for us to meet each other? It doesn't mean like serving a table of trauma dumping need. It means getting creative about, we all have some wings. All right. We know that there are wings. We can't see them because they're clear. All right, cool. We don't know how to use them, whatever. But we know that the spit, when we have needs and we start spitting, right? Now we can kind of weave together. Who are we going to weave with? Well, we have different resonance with different people for good reason, because in purpose and purpose, we're meant to resonate like along, we resonate in harmony. And she's like, leadership is stewardship. Stewardship is whose voice are you listening to? The reason that you're listening to that voice is because they've gone through some hell that they have to teach you about, not because they're better than you. And they're making that voice because every voice and every inspiration is the expression of need every single time. So are you meeting these needs? And is it really a top-down kind of a thing? Because to meet these needs is to be in community with each other, finding resonance with others so that you can build creatively toward a sustainable future where giving is receiving and there's mutual aid and we have a connective tissue that is going on here. And we're going to have rules of engagement that are different than the rules of engagement that we have. Because right now we have boundaries of conquest, and what we need is boundaries of holiness. Your need is holy. My need is holy. Expressing it is what brings us into holy connection. We are innovators very naturally. We get our inspiration from the mother. The mother is the goddess. She is a current. She is not a person. We honor the person, but that's not the god. You know what I mean? Like the current is never the Lisa. I'm never it. You know what I mean? It's really not me. I just cry myself to sleep like the rest of you, because I'm just as hungry as you are, right? And so like we have a fucked up model of community where to show up is to starve, right? To capsize is to not be the source, and to be close to the source is to be in the agony of constantly looking out and saying, why aren't you meeting each other's needs? You're assembled around here, and so and that's what community breeds, right? And so the mother is saying there's a very natural order and ecosystem of teaching and learning and growing, and you do not see the picture when you judge from the place of the receiver, because the giver has the picture that you can't conceive of. And so again, like this bringing judgment, are you worthy to tell me where's your specialty? I don't know what your accreditation is. I'm just going to inspect you. Where are we with these loops of supremacy, envy, greed, and tyranny? Just get in a group and figure out how to meet each other's needs. Like that's all we're going to do. And that's going to be a messy process. And we have to do something about what it is, because what is mothering? Is mothering laying all my beauty down and giving and giving and giving. Like I'm seeing like the housewife who is like, she just self-abandons her way through mothering. She's like, that's not it. It's not roles that you play. It's not supremacy dressed in different outfits. It's not the currency of exchange and production over and over and over again with branding and rebranding and blah, 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 and I'm going to teach what I don't know because at the end of the day I'm capsized and I'm alone. No, you don't teach without a community behind you. Like you don't have to, and that community is not your fucking followers. They're your friends. And if you don't have friends, you don't have wealth. And if you don't have wealth, you're starving. And if you're starving, then there is a reservoir of inspiration waiting to give you something if you just put down your bullshit cycles and stop fucking being hungry and saying and coming to community and putting a comment that says I'm damn fucking hungry is the seed. And where that gets watered is someone saying, I have that hunger too. And it's pretty big and awful, and we recognize it. I see the divinity in you. I see the divinity in me. I see the need. We see the need. What does it mean to get together and now pray for deliverance? Now we're connecting hands. We're making magic. What does that magic do? It inspires us. Why? Because you made me laugh about my need. And I gave you a solution that you couldn't conceive. And now we're building something that answers not just my need and your need, but there's a relationship here. And what's a relationship but new life? And what's new life but abundance? And what's abundance for everyone? That's how we do it. There's no icons. We got to step out of the seductive language of the poison of middle school. You know, what is the queen bee? She's just a song that everybody can hear. And she's hungry, so we gotta, we're all hungry. Ah! But I think that's the beauty of it. Why do we do spirituality? Because we're seeking. Why are we seeking? Because something needs to help us get out of the trap that we find ourselves in. And our arms are bound and all of our senses are choked out because the system's designed to be traps, little prison cells for everybody. It doesn't matter what your prison cell has got, miles of estate around it, or your prison cell is a tiny little apartment. You're both still silent screaming because ain't nobody meeting those emotional needs. And the intimacy that you're getting just reminds you that it's not from a source that can actually properly feed, because you're trying to get nourishment from an infant sentience wearing an adult suit, and it's hurting you, right? Look at that weight of the trickster and the lifeblood and the quest. You got to come into the graces of community. And again, it's a dangerous thing to come into community when you're perceived to have assets, because what happens with the wheels? Envy, tyranny, greed, supremacy, and we're all circling around in this fucking hell swill. Nobody's getting anywhere. The whole goddamn thing is turning into a black hole because it's capsizing under the weight of this is not the structure that is nourishing. It's a structure of starvation, and everyone feels it because we actually feel together, because that's the nature of consciousness. And so when we come into coherence with this equanimity, what are you purposed for? It's your voice. How do you come into your voice? You keep trying with it, and you try different things until different things happen. And there's a whole process here at play. Creativity as a spiritual practice has nothing to do with making stuff to produce and put on sale. That's gross. And I say that knowing that we all have to do that. I say that knowing that we all have to do that. Why don't I market myself more? Because I fucking hate it. I'm at least popping through here, and I think that you do too. You probably have a bevy of beautiful things that you have to offer. And you know what? The more beautiful it is, the more fucking people are going to hate you for it. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with you and your beautiful art that I see, and I'm talking to all of you because I know all of you are creators, and I know all of you are creating for that because of need. You think you're creating out of the supremacy and the specialness? No. No, need and creativity. Creativity is there to answer need. The innovation is a function of feeling the need and being like, I express it. Now we have innovation. So we go from feeling the need, expressing it, feelings, consciousness, to what tools do we have from all of the kingdoms that are within us to meet this need. Now we have a creative interplay. We got to get the chakras balanced and in order within us. We have to get the system in order within us, because the extraction that takes place has to do with whether or not we're going to step in those loops and lose ourselves over and over and over and over again. And we all do it because we're in a horrible system. But when we step out of that trickster, the weight of the trickster means that, like, your beautiful paintings, your beautiful expression, what happens when you show it to other people? They don't respond the way that you want. Okay, now what are you going to do? You're going to mask. How are you going to mask? Well, what's on avail? What can we buy off a rack? What's going to fit, right? None of it. I look terrible and everything. Okay, now we can't go out. We can't leave the house. We look ugly in all of our clothes. What? What's going on? What's going on? So the mother is saying, the weight of the trickster, that you are on a quest to meet your needs and to express those needs in a way that are going to get them met. That is the lifeblood experience of this journey. And it only happens in relationship to other people. Relationship to other people is not visibility. And so when you think about what people are doing with what you put out there and the reception that you get, you have to understand that the mother is at play in your well-being to a certain extent. And if it's driving you off a cliff, it's because you're in a loop. I have to just stop and be Lisa Lee for a second here, because I can feel like I'm like, come on, like like I'm looking at this landscape with all of the veils and all of the spookies. Needs to just turn on the axis of we all have needs. It needs to turn on the axis of we recognize the structure is a lie and it's false. It needs to turn on the axis of empowered is not position, it's imbalanced. And balanced is connected. Connected is getting needs met, balanced by the needs of others met. In communication with the consciousness that sees the feelings and adjusts for them. You see a baby crying in the rubble in another country, and you don't adjust for it. If you say, oh, I don't have any capital, I can't do anything about it, so I gotta just turn it off and I gotta just go another direction. The mother is going to say, I want you to pray, because you don't know what your wings do. Because you don't know that your prayers are also your capacity for healing. And the more you pray, the more you heal, the more you feel a stirring of those wings. And prayer is available to everybody. And so that's a first thing that you need to understand about what it means to answer needs, is that you have whatever it takes to answer the needs of the entire world in front of you in one little step in the direction of expressing the agony that you see. Because that need of that baby in the rubble is your fear of being that baby in the rubble. And the reality that a world that would do that means that you have to take on one of these wheels of greed, of tyranny. I got to control you so you don't control me. The presence of pain is not to be answered with helplessness in any of the wheels of trying to gain control over nature and the nature of man. No, where you are, creativity is the substance of solving problems. And so you sit where you are, you look around and you say, how can I create for these children that I see? And that pain, it strikes a chord in me. And now I'm part of a symphony and we're making a sound. And if I'm purposed to express on behalf of the mother's pain, it's because I'm feeling it. And if I'm not feeling it, it's not in resonance with me, and I'm going to go somewhere else because she purposed me for something that is going to strike a chord. And that's going to tell me something about where I'm supposed to position myself so I can lift the whole, because I am born for a reason and I have a purpose, and there is no two ways about it. There are hundreds of thousands of sperm that go towards the thing. She's saying an octopus with all of those octopus babies carries the same blueprint, the same information, the same consciousness. But some of those timelines are meant to die to serve the timeline that is going to be the strongest trajectory for the whole. And that's not a death of callousness on a part of a cruel world. It's a natural ecosystem that says you never die. You're just bumping into a timeline that's more in alignment of where you're going. If you are even taken out of the timeline that you are in all likelihood, you're not. You're going to be nourished there and trying to grow it. Because we're going to try and see if you can get there with your purpose. And that highest timeline is you expressing in purpose. And it's not going on a journey to a crab that you think is your mommy. And then it bites you. And then now you're going to hide forever. And you're not even going to get food. And that timeline dies. And that existence fizzled out. And that expression never happens. And the grief is the void that puts you in shadow, that says, my life was taken. When your life is existing in harmony with the whole, just over the mountain. And that's what we say to the dead when they come to us and they look like greed, or they look like envy, or they look like supremacy, or they look like tyranny. And I say, that's not who you are. Go over there. Get your nourishment where it is. This isn't the only light in the forest. You are a light waiting to be lit in purpose. And it happens with acknowledgement, where you resonate, where you harmonize, where the life that you are near is the life that you want to be a part of. And that means a friendship. Nothing else, not an extraction. And it's like there's no judgment in it. That's what you need to understand, because we are coming from a world. You know what the belief system kind of needs to be in order for us to get over this crap? I have spent the entire freaking week not working on community standards. You want to know why? Because I've been going door to door with the Republican Christian nationalists, and I've been the witch in town. I've been in the Texas little nowhere, okay? I know what's going on. I'm psychic. I can drive past these things. I can see these things. I'm a fucking psychic person. So what am I going to do when I see the pain? What am I going to do when I see the agony? What am I going to do when I meet someone? I don't just meet someone. I see the story of the abuse around them because somebody thinks that this is a helpless person that can be sexually abused now because nobody's going to do anything because they have to hide, right? I see what's going on, right? So what do you do when you are faced with a woman who is being hurt by her employer because they think that they have something on her and her life depends on her staying where she is invisibly? What do you think happens? You encounter someone like Lisa Lee, who's now going to take on a cause for everyone in your position, because that's the proper response to hearing and feeling pain. Now, what am I going to do? What can I reach? Who can I reach creatively in order to solve this problem? I can reach the Christians that are nearest me. And I'm going to talk to the Christians that are nearest me. And I'm not going to say to them, tyranny, you see this? You see this right? You see this right? Or how can you be this way? Who are you? Supremacy. I'm better than you. I see what you don't see, and I hate you because I'm the greed of you not, like this is what we do. But what am I going to do? That's not going to solve a problem. That's not connective tissue. That's not creativity. That's not the need. No, I'm going to knock on the door and I'm going to say, like, I need your help. I need you to look at what I'm seeing. I'm in pain. This is scaring me. This is hurting me. You're Christians. I know we have different beliefs, but I'm willing to hear your story about your God, and I'm even willing to take that God and give you what you need in the way of a narcissist hit, so that you can at least sit with me with the need to hold the line on habeas corpus, with the need to understand that there are certain things that we don't do because it's inhumane and we can see that it's there, to see that there's some incongruence and some incoherence around this tax bill and what we want as a community, that we can come together on stuff that we agree on, because you need me to lay down my beliefs and you need me to tell you that your beliefs are supreme. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you your beliefs are supreme. I'm going to get you to agree with me that we don't hurt little children. Those children are going to now have allies, and I'm going to leave the scene, because it's not about winning the argument. It's about getting the job done. And so I've been going to Christians and I've been saying, I need your help. You're so powerful. You are so powerful, and I need you. Because look at what I'm scared of, because I don't have a God who loves me like you do. I did the song, I did the dance, because that is what you do creatively when you're weaving for a solution for children who have no voice. And it doesn't look like truth, does it? And the rain comes down. I'm feeling the rain around me. And then there's a rainstorm outside. The answer to the dry earth crying out, somebody hear me, somebody help me, is a creativity. And then the rain that comes, like what birth comes from that. We're meant to be honest. We're meant to have virtues. We're meant to stand for something and so that we don't fall for everything. But when it comes to where are you, who can you reach, what does it mean to go into community? Do you have to agree with something putrid? No. But sometimes you have to bend the rules and be the high priestess in the room, talking to all the gods and goddesses and a room full of ancestors and ghosts, and negotiating with the natives and saying, what can we do creatively to make these people see what they have blinders on? And then they say to me, you tell them that you'll believe what they believe, and you listen to them. And I did listen to them, and they're loving people who want to help me with everything. Because now I see that they have love to give, because they have a story that's really important to them, and I'm going to honor them in that. I see the need in you, and I'm answering it with my presence, and I'm listening to your story, and I'm understanding from my point of view where you need to be with it. And I'm not going to impose my view, but I'm also not going to take your poison and make it mine, because I have a shrewd point of view that tells me that I can take a distance with this, that allows me to leave what I've seeded from my crown with the mirror that you're now holding, that brings a whole new picture of what it is to be the catalyst that recontours and understands the magic of shapeshifting. We got to do this from a different position. And so it's not about going against people. It's not about identifying the disease. It's not about diagnosing and standing supreme. It's about being the healing agent that from a place of wisdom knows when to speak and when to hold your tongue. And when in resonance and out of resonance, and when creating in resonance and when creating out of resonance. And that does not always have to be stories that we agree on. And so like, this is some cool, crazy, wacky stuff that like the mother is bringing through, but we've been going for like an hour. I think we have some, we can squeeze some more wisdom out of this. Because that's the point. You know, I have been looking at the problem of the cold-hearted Republican Christians screaming my head off in agony. And at a certain point, you know, once I sat down and said, I am not the fucking supreme ass fixer of all things, you know, those who are all noticing the pain can get together and start to form some solutions. And that solution is not might, it's communication. And what we know with the feeling consciousness is that there is a lot of politicking in that kind of magic, and there's use for good and use for evil, and we don't lie to each other, but we also have to, like, there's a hierarchy of needs, and that's the only place that hierarchy really exists as something that is valid. And so it's like, you know, that's why I think that the shape-shifty stuff came in there, because I'm not necessarily like proud of that. And, you know, I'm glad that this doesn't have a lot of reach with the Sun card there and the Hierophant, because the Seven of Wands defense against this horrible system of oppression is to go in with some clarity as a child, offering a need, because I do have needs. I do need my neighbor to help me figure out, you know, like what to do about, you know, the lawn, you know what I mean? Like we all do need to be in communication with each other, even if we don't share the same stories. And there's some kind of bending that has to happen between the integrity of weaving your own worldview and weaving your way forward and stopping to hear the cries of those in your vicinity and getting creative about what it means to have connective tissue, where connective tissue can be created. And it's like, this is hard stuff, you know. The boundaries as sacred markings is something that we have this thing about, like, well, you know, I don't want to betray my truth. I don't want to self-abandon. None of that, you know what I mean? But shape-shifting is something else. And if you're a shapeshifter and you're using magic to put on a show of your perfection, then you're doing it wrong, right? But if you're a shapeshifter and you're using it to meet needs, then you're going to meet your needs and you're going to meet the needs of others. And the reason that I bring that in is because the substance of belief is a really big part of the way that we sit with this duality. Back to this card of Aletheia. We sit here with this duality. You know, it has to be right, it has to be wrong. Like, see the little bugs counting their money. I see a 50. What the heck is that? Okay, the mouse. So your insignificance is your significance. My favorite movie as a little girl, when I was a little girl, was A Wrinkle in Time. No, that was my favorite book. What was I'm channeling, the brain is not working right. Somewhere out there, that's someone singing. I see the song. What is it? Mice. 50. American Tail. Okay. Here you have the trickster, the rat bastard, okay, who tells you the weight of the world's on your shoulders and you can't trust anybody. Envy, tyranny, cycles, right? You're on a quest alone. Nobody cares. You know, insignificant. Nothing taking from you. No one's safe. Relationships. Okay, so now we have that, right? Lifeblood drain. Right? Nothing. Misery. Life. I hate my life. Right? We're gonna start there. Now, from there, we have a steep thing to climb. You know, and then towards clarity with all of that. And let's just get some cards, because we are looking at the American Tail. And there's this little mouse named 50 who shows up in a foreign place, and he's like, I don't know where the hell I am, and I'm scared as shit. You know, like, where am I? Like, my parents are gone. Something about a boat. Like, my roots came out. Think about moving a plant from one place to another. You know, a plant dies when you move it into a new pot, unless you like pet it and sing to it, like, you know, for hours. So you think of this little mouse is like not in his land. It's a different land. I don't understand what's going on. What's this new land? So what does 50 do in that position that at that moment just looks up at the moon and starts singing, somewhere out there, someone's thinking of me, and we are together underneath this big moon. I don't know the words, but I see the song. And so that's what we do. We want to be together. We want to find togetherness. That's the point of spirituality. So sitting there counting them, I see the little bugs counting the money. Roaches. Is it true? false material, instead of just what's your need. Somewhere out there, someone singing, I don't know the song, but you do, so why don't you sing it with me, and we can be together somewhere out there, beyond cringe norms, where we're playing and we're making cool stuff that we love, and we're purposed, and we are in our purpose, and that purpose gets praised because it's in alignment, and it feels good because we know that we were connected with the mother and we co-created out of our voice, and it has nothing to do with anything other than getting into relationship and being loved for who you are and what you have to contribute, because you're a mouse, you're insignificant. Without the significance of a network, you are prey. And so the synergy here, without others, you're not creating, you need others to create fully beyond yourself, and that means sometimes change is needed. You have to create change, and there's alchemy in relationships, there's flexibility, and there's change. We have alchemy right here. We've got change and alchemy. We've got flexibility and change, kind of the same thing. But when we enter into community, we're going to have to throw out all the rules of perception and values and how we value each other and what we value, what we're doing, and what it means to actually be connected to a creative source of voice, and what it means to be seeking that answer to that need by creating into it. We are going to have a different ecosystem to work with as we sort of enter into this. And it's going to be about change and the alchemy of change. It is not about doing it the same. We need the substance of forgiveness. Everyone is imperfect. This grace, we need grace, right? And then we need to come and say, I have need, can I have some porridge? You know what I mean? Not to me, or not to some high atop the thing, but to the group. Because the only person who can answer your need is a many. Not a single. If you're of the mind that you're going to meet the right person and it's going to answer your needs, that's a lie. If you're of the mind that you're going to get the right opportunity and it's going to meet your needs, that's a lie. You're looking to join a role, to join a little army of perception and performance. That's not it. The meeting of your needs is going to come with your expressing it. Your expressing those needs is going to come with a level of creativity that brings something to the table in the way of what those needs expressed look like and sound like. And sometimes it is an agony cry. And the agony cry gives other people permission to agony cry. And now you have done something really powerful, more powerful than any beautiful display of the mating dance. Look at me. No, you come with a need, and now you've been authentic and you've expressed it, and now other people have permission to express authentically. There's so many, there's so much abundance in what those authentic expressions do for each other in the way of resonance. And now you've got a tuning fork, and those that are in resonance with you can find you. And now in resonance with each other, you're closer to what you're purposed for. And then in that communication and that creativity that comes from deciding we're going to make a group, and we're going to make things, and we're going to sell things, and we're going to do things. No, it's a kitchen table, and you're sitting there and you're like, I am just so inspired by this. Happened in the Discord, special interest honeybees. We're talking about a special interest in honeybees. Who has everybody has a special interest in honeybees. Okay, what about them? Oh my gosh. You know that little fact? I know this little fact. You know what's inspiring to me? That. Oh my gosh, that's inspiring for you. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it so much that we're talking about it. Let's talk about it in front of other people. And then our special interest can find those that have the same special interest. And now we're all talking about it together. And now, did you know that there's a discovery out in, somewhere else? Oh no, there's that bee. What does that bee do? This, we're following a trail. Now we're making a net. Now we're holding each other. Now we know each other. And now when one of us is having a really bad day, we already know each other because of the bees. And so it's easy to kind of say, I need somebody to listen to me cry because I'm alone and I don't like it. And I don't want a silent scream. I hate the person downstairs that made me feel like I'm insignificant, because I know I'm insignificant, but that's only because I don't have you. And if I had you, then I would feel significant. And now I'm significant, and it solves the problem. And I didn't know it was a problem until I felt it, which is why I needed to be here, and why we needed to talk about bees 3 weeks ago, because the mother is providing in this way. See how it works? And so it's a beautiful ecosystem. And so like we start with community, not like, well, we have to make sure that like no one's needs capsizes us. Nope, 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 no, no. We start by building a community that says we have so many needs, and what an honor it is to come together around them. What a discovery process we can now do in and out of resonance with those that we're meant to create in and out of resonance with. And there is no possession, there is no holding territory. With friendship, there's just, are we in resonance this afternoon? Yeah, let's make something. Let's make a fun conversation. Let's make a goofy thing. Let's have a joke. Now I'm fed, you're fed. All right, let's go back to what we're doing. Is this the feeding ground? Am I gonna come back here every single day and get the same thing? No. That's why it's not a person, it's not a group of people, it's a we. You have to be in groups and moving within those groups, because sometimes you're going to follow and sometimes you're going to lead, because in purpose is neither the follower or the leader, but the flow that moves with your expansion and your contraction and your growth. And so there's a lot there for us to chew on, but the Nourishing Mother series ends on the note that says everything that you need is answered in you being in purpose, in community, in the ecosystem, not the economy, in the ecosystem of relating and creating as a spiritual practice, however the heck that looks. It's about being heard, seen, understood, and loved. And if we're not participating in a group of what that looks like, it's capsize, capsize, capsize. And like one voice tired and other voices needing to be heard, and like, what's going on? Somebody take the mic, right? But where's the mic? It's confused. Okay. And so we're all doing this, and we're all meant to do this together. And so I invite you to the comment section to talk about stepping out of the loops, being confronted by the loops, and needing something from anyone who could love you. Because the Nourishing Mother is each other. The Nourishing Mother is the connection that we forge by bringing our needs to the surface and acknowledging them, and acknowledging the pain of the insignificance that is true to who we are, if not for each other, and then becoming significant only in relationship with each other, and not seeing that as weakness, but seeing that as an enormous strength. Because if you had to be king shit atop all the world as a field mouse, then your defenses would have to be all that you lived, breathed, did, and were. And that would be a quality of life dog shit. And then you are going to be silent screaming in agony of unmet need because you're not meeting the needs of others. And that's where you feel disempowered. And so where do you get your sense of empowerment? Meeting your own needs. Once your own needs are met, meeting the needs of others. And then what does that give you? It should give you, if you are operating in purpose, praise. Is praise worship high atop of thing? No, it's gratitude. And what is gratitude? Hope. And what is hope? Something that drives humanity forward. It's pretty simple. So we're going to work on this together. I hope I hope you hear me and know that my voice means I need you, and not I'm better than you. When I start screaming about this stuff, it's not me, it's the mother, and I'm out here tired with the rest of it, all of us, because there's nothing I'm prouder to wear as Lisa Lee than my imperfections, and there's nothing about my story that threatens anyone unless they're not willing to listen to me, because there's nothing that I have to say that isn't love. And if you're coming from that same perspective, it doesn't mean that you are sugarcoating everything. No, you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, I'm not going to participate in the incoherent systems that starve children and take a baby's little yawn and force it into a slavery to make my phone that rips me from my mother's arms, because she's not going to hold me if I'm holding that sickness, because it's going to make her whole body sick. And now she has to cut out a part of herself that is a vital organ, and also something that she loves, because it's insisting on being cancerous and feeling powerlessness, that there's nothing that can be done, because it doesn't realize that it is the creativity and her inspiration that will lead them out of the darkness and spit like the spider into the void in front of you that's creating. And now you have the web that connects you to others. And now when you make that net, you're not going to save anybody. Nobody's going to save you, but we save each other. And you're not going to feel empowered unless you are meeting your needs and meeting the needs of others. You can't meet your needs by yourself. So you have to start with a joke or a funny story or an antidote, or going to somebody who's crying and say, I cried too. And then you do it together and you're holding each other in tears and you're looking out and something comes by and it makes you laugh. And now you're moved and the mother's moved through you both. And there's a relationship that's been formed, trauma bonded. No, humanity. I confront you with my humanity. The divine in me sees the divine in you. The need in me sees the need in you. And what brings us together is the we that has a fighting chance of saving not just ourselves, but healing the entire world. And so, yes, you are significant. Yes, you and you alone can heal the entire world with others in the significance of the economy that is not supposed to be about exchange and money, but it's supposed to be an ecosystem of needs and needs met and all of the resources used to meet needs and nothing else. And what does that do? It gives you friendship and love and a place in community where you're valued. And yes, you're going to have, if you show up as a light in a dark forest, you're going to be dealing with the cycles of envy, tyranny, greed, supremacy. Who are you to tell me? And you just have to stand there and you have to say, yes, your story about salvation is beautiful. And I'm glad that you're holding it as your only hope in the world. I can hold that hope with you if you need me to agree with it. And we're going to use that hope to heal the people that we agree that should never be treated like that. And because that is not who God is. And so I'm going to help you elevate who God is in you. And whatever story is going to help you with that. But I'm not going to deny that my story is different. And that's going to be a very different experience of resonance and non-resonance. Am I going to join the families of these people that I was like, you know what, you guys, your Jesus is in trouble and you need to know that your religion is at stake when it's being used to perpetrate this hate. And I'm worried about your God for you. And then they're worried about their God. And who are you? I'll give you your need for your God. And I'm telling you that it's important. Now, do I have to stay in resonance with these? I am not in resonance with those people. Nope. Absolutely. I'm leaving. Goodbye. We're done. We've agreed that we agree on humanity. And now you don't need my allegiance, you don't need my compliance, and you don't need me to abandon myself in order to give supremacy to your story. But we did come to a common ground. And now as a wizard shape-shifting, I'm going to go find my resonance with a community who says, well, that was a little bit shady, but you know what? Change and alchemy equals flexibility. And now there's some happiness around this hope that those babies aren't going to be stuck in there much longer. So I want us to think about sacred power in a little bit of a different way. And I want to think about voice in a different way. And I want to think about purpose in a different way. And I want you to look at this enormous ecosystem provided for you. And I want you to look around you, who you're connected to. And I want you to know that the mama did that. Mama did that. And that your needs can be met here because you're listening to her here. And it's not about Lisa Lee. I mean, honestly not. If you meet me, you know that. But it is about you, all right? And it is about the experience. And it is about a shared belief around what you need and what I need in the humanity that we are coming in resonance of in the school of fish that we find ourselves a part of, that we did not get ourselves here. You did not choose to be born where you are. You were purposed for it. And so finding your purpose and expressing it is going to be that authentic expression, which is praise, and you will be worshiped for it. And no, that is not some bullshit Christian, not Christian, I'm not gonna use Christian. It's not a religion where somebody is worshiped because they're the one. It's worship because you are providing for a need and now your need is met, not by a worship that is about high atop the thing or better or another. It's just, I love mommy and you love mommy and me, and now we can get fed. And now and now that web is not a trap, but nourishment. Okay? And so I see the need in you and I see the need in me. And it is divinity. And I'm going to leave the nourishing mother service. The nourishing mother service, which is a cool way of putting it, message, is that we need each other. And that we're purposed to need each other, and that we're purposed to meet each other's needs. And that when we understand our significance is in relationship, we can start, even if it's just a little approaches. And if you're too scared, you start with prayer, because the mother will get you there. And so we're going to leave it there. I love you all. I need you all. We need each other. The world needs us. Let's get creative and have fun with it. And I will see you guys again soon. Come to Wednesdays and have some fun.